A central idea in spiritual Christianity is that all of us, as conscious beings, are constantly receiving our existence from the Lord, who is the infinite and eternal God. This exploration delves into the nature of God's presence, not as a distant overseer, but as an intimate and fundamental aspect of existence. By examining the differences between our limited human perception and the infinite nature of the divine, we will explore how our consciousness, bound by time and space, shapes our understanding of reality. This exploration seeks to reconcile the seemingly disparate worlds of the spiritual and the natural, revealing the underlying unity of creation and offering a path towards a deeper connection with the source of all being. Because God isn't limited by space or time, there's no real distance between him and those he loves. True love connects minds, and divine love is the most complete and intimate connection possible. While God is the source of all love, thought and sensation, our minds, as recipients of this divine life, aren't perfect like God. For this reason, we will always experience ourselves as distinct from him. This difference is especially clear in our consciousness, which moves forward through time as we think and feel. This movement gives us a sense of time passing and is the effect of an imperfect reception of divine wisdom, something that doesn't exist within God's perfect and infinite consciousness. Similarly, our experience of space as distance is a result of our limited, imperfect reception of the Lord's love. It is this imperfect reception of love and wisdom that creates the feeling of distinction and movement within a world of space and time. Our lives are defined by a consciousness that's always developing. We're meant to progress through the transformation of our minds, moving towards higher states of will, understanding, and sensation. This growth continues even after death, as we transition into different states of love, thought, and sensation. These new states are so distinct from our earthly ones that normally direct communication between those in the natural and spiritual worlds isn't possible. Rather, there is an indirect communication by means of a correspondence between these distinct levels of mind. Despite appearances, the law of creation is fundamentally the same across all degrees of life: celestial, spiritual, and natural. It's actually quite common for the natural mind to perceive things superficially, without really grasping the deeper, unified reality. Therefore, to the natural mode of consciousness, the one that believes the perceived external world exists independently of its own mental states, the outer world of sensation appears fixed and less dynamic. This stands in contrast with celestial and spiritual states of consciousness, where there's a full awareness that the outer world of sensations is created moment by moment, representing the degree to which they receive love and wisdom from the divine. We can see then that the first step in correcting this misconception lies in recognizing that the difference between the natural and spiritual worlds is rooted in the perfection of minds and their receptivity to the inflowing divine life, rather than in any fundamental difference in the law governing their creation. We can begin to recognize this spiritual reality long before we fully understand the mechanisms that bring the natural world into being. However, as long as we believe space and time exist independently of human consciousness, the natural mind will continue to perceive the appearance of the natural world existing in a separate space and time as the true reality. This creates a seemingly irresolvable problem. If this appearance is true, if the natural creation exists in a space and time that are independent, then in what meaningful sense can God, in whom there is nothing of space and time and who cannot be in space and time, be omnipresent everywhere and throughout all time? To believe that the natural world exists independently of human consciousness, that it is situated within an external framework of space and time, while simultaneously holding that the spiritual world is brought into being as an effect of the divine life flowing into the minds of its inhabitants, is to suggest that different laws govern different levels of creation. But if God is truly one, the same law of creation must hold true for both the spiritual and natural worlds, with all apparent differences between worlds being simply the effect of different beliefs existing for spiritual and natural modes of being regarding the nature of reality. Because of our finite capacity to receive the divine, the Lord manifests in a form that reflects that limited reception. Without doing so, no connection between the Lord and the human beings he creates would be possible. To those of us who experience the world through space and time, the infinite and eternal God appears cloaked in the appearances of space and time, as if he were a finite natural being. Indeed, he has appeared and continues to appear, as if he were a son distinct from his father. All the difficulties in reconciling the infinite and eternal reality with the appearances of finite temporal life disappear when we understand that these appearances aren't caused by God, who is unchanging and perfect, but by our own imperfect, limited reception of divine life. When we realize that creation in both the spiritual and natural worlds follows the same divine law, our minds can overcome the obstacles that prevent us from finding truth regarding how the external sensory worlds of spiritual and natural beings is constituted and held in connection with its infinite and eternal source. This deeper understanding bridges the gap between our limited view and the infinite, unifying our perception of God's presence in all aspects of existence. Ultimately, the journey into understanding God's presence and our relationship to the divine is a journey of inner transformation. By recognizing the limitations of our perception and the common creative law governing both the spiritual and natural worlds, we begin to dismantle the barriers that separate us from a fuller experience of divine life. As we grow in understanding, the apparent contradictions between the infinite and the finite resolve, allowing us to perceive God's presence not as something external or remote, but as the very essence of existence itself. This unification of perspective marks a profound shift, enabling us to connect more deeply with the divine source from which all love and wisdom flow, and from which all things are made.